What is up, guys? My name of course is Kyle and welcome yet to another video, and one of these videos I haven't done in a long time and I thought I'd bring you one today. So this is my definitive top programs for using in visual effects, movie editing, sound production, so on and so on. So this is going to be cool. I've done one of these about 8 months ago, and I've done a couple of these on the channels, and I know you guys love them because they always get a warm welcome, shall I say. So yeah, now we're going to just jump over to the desktop and just literally have a look at what I've got. So yes, don't panic, it is a bit of a mess here. Well, it's not a mess, this desktop is sort of organised to the way that I want it to be organised. This is everything to do with schizophrenia, the short film that I'm working on, and I like to keep everything on a desktop and in folders as well, on my other hard drives, just to know where I am. As soon as I turn on my computer and I start working on the film, I can instantly see here basically where I have to go. So first and foremost, I do once again want to apologise about the fucking noise in the background. These people next door, I don't know what they're doing. It's like, I think they're trying to dig to Australia or something, but for the past 2 months they have not stopped working in that garden, and it's getting quite annoying at the moment. So I think it's going to come to a point where I'm going to have to say something. They're only putting a couple of fences up, you know, they've been months out there. It's just annoying, and I just want to be able to get out in my garden and enjoy it and be able to do these videos without having any background noise whatsoever in the background. But needless to say, let's get on to the good stuff. So in the tradition of a desktop tour, we're going to go from left to right, and I really have cut down on my programs in general. There is a few programs that I've got rid of and I don't license myself to no more, because I felt like I was paying quite a bit of money for them and I didn't need to. So I've basically got the programs on my desktop and on my Mac that basically I need to use, and that basically work together well within a pipeline that I'm going to constantly use all the time. So obviously we have After Effects. Now After Effects, I'm going to open it up for you. You know, it's the definitive compositing software and visual effects software. If you're in the industry and you don't know what After Effects is, then yeah, needless to say, what can I say about that? But this is the latest version, the latest update. As of last month, I think it was, there was a last update, a very subtle sort of update, shall I say. So nothing special. It's still my go-to program. As you can see, I've got loads of projects in there at the moment. It's still my go-to program for visual effects and compositing. It's so good. I mean, I was a Nuke user for a long period of time, but I'm slowly seeing people coming into After Effects and using it more professionally. Even though it is a professional piece of software, I have seen people, you know, use After Effects over programs like Nuke, which is insane because Nuke is so powerful and it does so much. It's absolutely insane. So if you're into After Effects, I mean, if you're into visual effects and compositing and stuff like that and you want to get started, I do recommend After Effects. You know, the Adobe suite has always been top notch for me. It's always been my go-to program of choice, including Premiere Pro. You know, everything just works so seamlessly together. You know, out of the creative links side of things. And yeah, if you do want to get into filmmaking and compositing and generally visual effects, you know, you will not go wrong with After Effects, I'm telling you now. So Photoshop, we all know what Photoshop is. Media Encoder I use a lot in conjunction with Premiere Pro. I used to export directly in Premiere Pro, but now I've found where I'm using a lot of raw material, raw footage, ProRes and so on and so on, I like to encode, shall I say, within Media Encoder. It just is very good, and yeah, I try and stay away from the built-in encoder, even though it still does a good job. I try and just encode everything directly from Media Encoder. So I'm just going to load up my current project at the moment, which is my short film that I'm working on, which is quite heavy at the moment. It's got a lot, you can see here in the red, these are where visual effects have been added. It's just loaded everything in, because my whole project for schizophrenia is on my 8 TB external drive. That way, if anything actually does go wrong with it, it's all backed up to my external drive. So if my SSD, heaven forbid, in my iMac, anything happens to it, I've got the complete project with all the files loaded onto the external hard drive, which is a Thunderbolt drive. So it's you know, if you see here, it's just as good as working directly off the SSD, which is built into the system itself, which is great. So as you can see here, you'll get a bit of a tease or a little look at schizophrenia at the moment, where I'm at with it. As you can see, I'm near enough, you know, nearly 9 minutes into the edit with loads to do. These little red marks, as you can see here, are After Effects links. So these are places where I've added subtle effects, and I've color coded most of this, so I know what I've still got to do in this particular scene. Like here is a big bit of work that needs to go into here. You know, I've tried to code it the best I can going through the project, so it's awesome. And Premiere Pro, as you can see, I'm scrubbing through here. This is ProRes footage, high quality Blackmagic Cinema camera, 4K. I'm scrubbing through. You can see the green indicator. I'm on half res. If I just go to full res now, and I'll just play that back, even with, you know, screen.
Firstly, sorry for your loss. What's happened?
Premiere Pro done.
I don't know. I don't know what's happened. I was. I understand.
So there is Premiere Pro for you. Premiere Pro has added so much over the years, especially with the, you know, the color matching system, so on and so on. It's absolutely insane. It's such an amazing piece of software, and Adobe, every time they do an update, they just come out with something to improve the software. You know, when I started using this, I always thought it was brilliant to start off with, but they've always listened. Adobe's always listened to their fans, and they've always listened to their users, which is brilliant. You know, always wanted to give to the user what they need in order to make a timeline or a project, create a project a lot more easier, which is fantastic. So here it is. This is Premiere Pro. This is the latest one this is the latest one, 12.1.1. So I'm just going to close this down now, come out of my project, and that's Premiere Pro. So here I have the very famous image capture. Now I use image capture to get all my iPhone footage. So if I do any iPhone photographs or footage from my iPhone, I'll use image capture, plug my iPhone in. It's a lot more easier, and I'll just put them off and drag them to the desktop using image capture. I've used it for years with phone software, and it's always worked. So yeah, if it's not broken, don't try and fix it, I suppose. So Pluralize 4 is for audio syncing. This program here is also built into Premiere Pro, but if you want to do some audio syncing without having to jump into Premiere Pro, so on and so on, you can sync any piece of audio. I'll just open it up for you guys via this program. So it's just literally drag and drop. So what you do, drag your video footage with the built-in audio, for instance, and then you drag in your external audio, you click synchronize, and then you export it to the timeline of your choice. So you can export it to the desktop, you can export it straight to Premiere Pro, or you can export it to an XML file into Final Cut, which is brilliant. It's just so powerful, and it's so fast. It's frightening. The way it does it is just crazy. Excellent piece of software. So Safari, I've never used Safari because I'm a Chrome user, but here we have the latest version of Maya, which I use for my modeling, basically. If I want to bring some 3D assets into a scene, for instance, I will use Maya. Maya's always been my go-to. I've had Maya since the beginning. I've been a Maya user, and it's always worked, and it's always been an incredible piece of software. It's so powerful. it does everything I need it to do. There's nothing you cannot do with Maya. It's just brilliant. So anyway, moving on, auditions. I use that a lot for music correction or to correct audio. So for instance, the voiceovers I'm doing here, I'm using an external microphone at the moment, which is plugged into my Mac, and I will use auditions to correct audio as I see fit to make it more clearer, or to make it sound better, or to change voice dialogue, so on and so on. Next to that, we have Adobe Character Animator. I've just literally started playing around with this, and it's amazing. Basically, what it does, it allows you to create a character in a PNG, or not PNG, in Photoshop. So you'll create your head, the neck, the body, the arms, all separate layers, as you can see here on the screen. And what it allows you to do, so if you look at the screen here, I'm talking, I can move my head here, talk into the camera and animate it, like so, and just create cool little cartoons and stuff like that. It is super, super powerful, this piece of software. When you go into the settings here, you actually control each part of the body is controlled separately. So once you link it all together and you get it the way you want, then you can animate it the way you see fit. So as you can see now, I am talking and the camera is on from the iMac, and as you can see here, this character is copying exactly what I'm saying. So if I go this side, she'll go this side. If I go that side, she'll go that side. Absolutely insanely powerful. And if you want to get into 2D character animation, you really can't go wrong with this. At the moment, I'm being attacked by puppies, so I do apologise about that. Mocha Pro. So I've had Mocha. I was using Mocha, the standard Mocha built into After Effects for a long period of time. And I'll do that later. And I found that I was missing a lot of features that I needed. So if I was working on, for instance, a project, certain features in the light version of Mocha, which is built into After Effects, were missing. So I think I was sort of forced to buy the Pro version, and that's what I did. And I've never looked back. I've always had the latest version of Mocha Pro. It's the powerfulest tracking tool you can get on the market, I think. And you'll hear my puppies barking in the background. Once again, I do apologise. It's the powerfulest tracking tool you can get, I think, personally, for tracking. There may be more powerful ones out there, but to me, it's a piece of software that never lets you down. And that's what I'm into. I'm into software that is... it don't let you down, you know. It does what it needs to do with minimal errors, if that makes sense. So moving on, I've got Chrome, which I use for obviously for my internet bits and pieces, and then I've got the latest Cinema 4D R19, which is the latest one out. Again, very similar to the workflow in Maya. If I'm working on a job and I need Cinema 4D, I'll update that later. I know that I've got Cinema 4D. This is the full-fledged version of R19. And it just works, you know. It's always reliable. If you want to get into 3D work and you want to get into making animations and stuff like that in 3D, then I would say start with Cinema 4D, because there's so much. It's so easy. Well, it's not easy to use, but it's a lot less complicated than Maya. I think Maya is slightly more complicated than Cinema 4D. You can create something in Cinema 4D quite quickly and get decent rendering results as well. So Cinema 4D, I do recommend it. So I'm going to skip to all this crap here. This is Final Cut, the latest version. I love Final Cut, and I went for a stage at the beginning where I weren't too keen on Final Cut, but I use Final Cut now just as much as I use Premiere Pro. But I'll use Final Cut, for instance, to edit a video like this. I keep Premiere Pro strictly for professional work, filmmaking work. Even though, yeah, Final Cut can, you know, do professional work. This is the latest vlog I did, or behind the scenes of schizo that I did. And as you can see, it is just so fast. It's buttery smooth. It just works. And because it's optimized for the Mac, and the Apple ecosystem, it's so fast. I mean, I've literally just dropped this in, you know, just opened this up, and this project here is just literally ready to be do what I need to do with it. So it's a seriously powerful piece of software, and I use it all the time to do short. So getting on with it. Motion I don't use, I just have it because I have it. Someone said to me once a little while ago for me to get motion, and I don't know why, because everything I do in After Effects, you know, I could do everything from motion in After Effects, if that makes sense. So I sort of feel that was a bit of a waste of money, but never use it, so yeah. Anyway, Logic Pro X is my music making. That's what I use to create my tunes, and I absolutely love it. I do have Cubase, but I've got an older version of Cubase. I've got LE Elements, Elements 8, and I've had this for years. This is the only thing I can't get my head around, because I'm still learning Cubase. So I'm just going to load up my libraries now. Sorry, I'm still learning Logic. I'm still very new to music creation. Just make sure I'm in focus there, guys. I'm still very new to music creation and stuff like that, and I've still got a lot to learn, and I'm still learning, if that makes sense. But I'm getting there, sort of thing. I'm still trying to figure out about libraries and stuff like that, because the thing with Logic, the contact libraries are so huge. I ended up buying, if you just see there, an 8 terabyte drive just for my contact libraries, and oh god, does it take up a lot of space, the contact software and the contact plugins. So here, as you can see, I've got my contact library here, which I've got quite a decent amount of strings and bits and pieces that I've bought. I don't know where this has gone. I'll have to locate that at some point. But I've got quite a few contact plugins, as you can see here, and it's purely because I went literally on a mad shopping spree for this. I just bought everything that I could buy for this piece of software that I would probably need, and probably all that I would need, if that makes sense. So yeah, great piece of software. It is my go-to program for music production. So here is Contact 5.6. I need to update it, I do know, but this has got all my, this is where I load all my contact libraries into for my music production. This is Machine 2, and this I got with my machine piece of hardware. So I've got the machine hardware on the desk at the moment, and then once I switch this on, this all the machine hardware switches on, and then I can basically access all the instruments that I've got on my computer, from contact, from everything, directly through this machine. I can program it in and just start creating music. So an excellent piece of software, and definitely needed when it comes to having the machine hardware itself. I could not get this working for a couple of hours when I bought it, until I realised I had to install this piece of software. But that's just me being new to it. But I figured it out in the end, and now it's working fantastically. So here I have Cubase elements, and it's always asking me for the audio. I like Cubase, but I think Cubase needs to just shag off with some of the shit it does. Like this, for instance. It's always, you know, Logic, you load it up and everything just works. But where every time I load this up, maybe it's just me being me and just being me, not knowing about music production that well. But yeah, it's a piece of software that I have used before, and I have fooled around with and played with before. But I've had Elements. I bought it off Amazon quite a few years ago. I think I paid about 90 quid for it, a box version of Elements, and I've had it ever since. And it's always worked. You know what I mean? So I've never had the urge, because I've got Logic. I've never had the urge to say, right, I need to get, you know, Cubase 9 Pro or 9.5 Pro, because it's always done what I need it to do. So Next to that, we've got Blender, the very famous Blender, another 3D modeling piece of software, compositing, so on and so on. This is like a free thing, and to me, Blender is just as powerful as the expensive ones, Maya and the Cinema 4Ds. I've seen people do some insane work on this software, piece of software, and it's just, yeah, I've got to get my head around it still. And I think Blender's quite complicated. So you get the element of free, but Blender always seems complicated to me. Yeah, and I think one day I'm going to sit down and really study hard with Blender and see if I can get my head wrapped around it. So this next to it is Fusion. This is the Fusion Studio, which I have substituted for Nuke. I used to be a big Nuke user of the latest Nukes, but it was just costing me too much money. I couldn't afford it. So in the end, I just thought, right, I'm just going to buy one piece of software that I don't have to update all the time. Update to keep to the latest versions, but I don't have to keep paying all the time. So that's why I bought Fusion 9. And Fusion works great with, what's the other one? Davinci Resolve, which I've yet to install onto my system because, as you know, this is a new iMac, so I've not had a chance to install all that good stuff. So it's a Fusion 9, basically node-based compositing, very similar to Nuke, good stuff, so on and so on. So next to that we've got ZBrush, which is a painting tool and sculpting tool for your models, so on and so on. Foundry is a new one that was recommended over from Filmright, and I think it's great. This is for sound effects, and Filmright did the video, I think it was last week. I checked into it and I thought, right, this is actually pretty cool. So basically what you do is you just pick what you want, render it out, thread it over to the top, it's got all the sound effects in it, all that good stuff. It's just brilliant. So I thought, let me have a look at it, and then I started playing around with it, and I fell in love with it, and I thought, yeah, I need to have some of that. And I think it's like £15 a month from Pound, no, about £11 a month from Pound for that. So cheapest chips, and it falls into the same sort of category as Filmstro, which is great. So storyboard, Final Draft as well, do my script work, write all my scripts, so on and so on. Storyboarder is a great piece of free software, believe it or not, for Mac, which allows you to storyboard a project or a film. And I think it's only available on Mac, I'm not quite sure. But as you can see, I was doing some rough camera movements. But if you want a storyboarder, I mean, it puts it all into a timeline and everything for you. That is free. I mean, I'd go storyboard. I think it's available for Windows. Don't quote me on that, because I don't really know. I got this software through a friend. He recommended to me to get it. So yeah, storyboarder is cool. You can use it with a graphics tablet, whatever you want really. So it just works. So here's Davinci Resolve, which I have installed. I didn't think I installed it. So Davinci Resolve I use in conjunction with Fusion. They work seamlessly together, as the same as Premiere Pro and After Effects, which is great. And then we've got Filmstro, which I use to do all my film scoring work, which is linked to Premiere Pro. So the software I've got as a standalone, and then I've got it for Final Cut, and I've got it for Premiere Pro as well, built into Premiere Pro, so I can use it directly for that. Sam Downloader is just for Project Sam. Just for Project Sam files, is so I can just download his software. He's amazing. It's just music stuff, music production stuff, nothing too exciting. Mocha Pro is going back to Mocha. As you can see, you can create really cool 2D animations. I think it might have fixed itself now, because when this is not activated, it comes up, you get a watermark across the screen. So I think it might have needed to catch up on the internet, because this looks for your license on the internet as well. So as you can see, very quick, very cool, and then you can play with the rigging and move the rigging the way you want it, like that, and everything you do gets animated via keyframes in the timeline. Very easy to use, and it's just a really cool piece of software. So I don't really want to save that. All this is part of the denoiser package, which I bought from Red Giant, which is cool. I've sort of really slimmed down when it comes to my software on the computer, because I just wanted a workflow that I could use. Every single program that I've got has a purpose to what I need it to do, which I think is quite important. So that's it, guys. That is my best visual effects movie making program software for 2018/2019. All these programs are both compatible with Mac and PC, so if you need it on a PC, you can get all these programs on PC, bar obviously the Apple ones, which is Final Cut, Logic Pro X. And that's basically it. So if you have enjoyed this video, once again, smash the shit out of that like button. And once again, I'll definitely catch you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.